In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own incredible gravy from scratch and vegan. This is the most bold, rich, delicious gravy you will ever have, and you'll never go back to store-bought stuff. I'm starting by collecting some celery from the garden. This is going to add beautiful mineral salts and lots of flavour. But if you can just buy it from the store, that's absolutely fine as well. I'm now going to go and collect some herbs, and herbs are really quite crucial for a homemade gravy. They add so much of that flavour, that savoury flavour. So I'm starting with some parsley, stalks and all, because we're going to use the whole thing. Now plenty of thyme, and also some sage. Beautiful earthy flavours from the sage there. Now I'm going to pick plenty of rosemary, and of course rosemary is such a key flavour to gravy and mash, and those sort of wintry flavours, just delicious. Alright, in the kitchen I'm going to start with some mushrooms and carrots finely chopped. And then onion for sweetness, and all that's going to caramelise down beautifully together. Now to process those herbs, the rosemary I'm going to strip off a twig, then the sage, the same thing. Several leaves of sage in there. The thyme, I'm going to pick off those lovely lush top leaves, at least a tablespoon or so. Roll it all up into a sort of round and then chop it, and that makes it easier when it's all rolled up together. The parsley, I'm just using the stalks at this stage because it's all going to cook down so thoroughly that the fibrousness of the stalks isn't going to be a problem, and there's so much flavour in there to use, and it's less waste then as well. We'll use the tops later. And this celery, same again, reducing waste. We're going to use the tops and the stalks, and you can cut it really quite roughly here. As I say, it's all going to cook down in its own time. So everything is now prepped, which means it's time to take it over to the stove. Into the pan, plenty of olive oil. I'm going to follow that with my ingredients here. All in together, doesn't matter. In goes mushrooms, carrots, onions, then our greens, our herbs, that's celery, celery tops, sage, thyme, and rosemary. I'm following this with a big pinch of salt to help everything sweat. Okay, the veg is now really nice and caramelized, so there's lots of colour on it. It's kind of browned off, but not in a burnt way, in a really lovely, just caramel, delicious saute kind of way. And now it's time for our next ingredient, which is actually just plain flour, and that's what's going to thicken this whole gravy in the end. So that's going to go in at the same time tomato paste for richness and umami and just general deliciousness. So that goes in now and just needs to fry off a little bit. So yeah, cover that base of the pan with it. You can see already it's kind of sticking, and all that is going to come out as flavour when we deglaze in just a moment. Okay, we're ready for some deglazing action, and now I'm going to use some red wine. That is going to add so much richness. And like so many great European dishes, they do have that wine element. It's the acidity, particularly with red It's a little bit of sweetness, acidity, depth, it's all going on. Just adds complexity, that's really what it's doing there. So we've deglazed with that. And we've got a lovely, rich, look at this colour. Absolutely beautiful colour. Very thick. We need to start loosening it up now. So I'm going to add some vegetable stock. This can just be a good old powder and water combination. So for our other flavours in here, we're going to add some really oomphy ingredients. I mean, if it wasn't full enough of flavour, we're going to take it to the next level, because that's what gravy is all about. It's about strong, bold flavour to complement things like mashed potato that aren't necessarily as bold. So in order to do that, I've got some miso paste. I've got some Vegemite, or if in the UK, Marmite I think is the right word. That stuff is so strong, it's just going to add so much umami to this. I've also got some nutritional yeast and just a splash of balsamic vinegar. Particularly important if you haven't used wine, but I recommend using the red wine. Alright, let's stir that in. I'm going to turn it down now to low and just let it simmer away for quite a while. We just need to let it thicken up, which time will do with the help of that flour. And pretty soon this sort of soupy consistency is going to be very thick and beautiful. This broccoli has gone to seed effectively. It's trying to make a flower head. That doesn't mean it's unusable. These little pieces here will act just like broccolini in tonight's dinner. At this stage, we need to strain the gravy through a sieve into a jug. This smells absolutely incredible already. Use a spoon to push it through and extract all that magical goodness. What's left in the sieve here is absolutely beautiful stuff and not to be thrown out. Look at that colour, it's just full of flavour. So I'm going to put that aside here. And then I'm going to turn this actually into a shepherd's pie filling. So simply mixing this with some kidney beans or lentils, putting it in a baking tray, covering it with mashed potato, and wow, it'll be the best shepherd's pie you've ever tasted. This smells incredible. Look at that gorgeous golden goodness just oozing out. This beautiful meal is just the perfect winter, hearty deliciousness that's so satisfying and just warms you from within. This mashed potato has the skins in it because they're just too good for you to throw out, I think. So I'm just going to make a little well of textured mash with the skin. I don't mind that bit of texture, and nearly all the goodness of the potato is in the skin, so it's a shame not to use it. Okay, make a little nest. I'm going to put some beautiful broccoli from the garden to one side, and some roast mushrooms to the other. And now, time for our beautiful, beautiful gravy. Touch around the side. Sprinkle parsley. And to me, that's complete. Broccoli is actually very high in protein, as are mushrooms. Beautiful, carby, energy-giving potato and such strong, bold, delicious umami flavors from the gravy. That's a complete meal, a beautiful, nourishing vegan meal. Just divine.